The forward line in Supercoach this year, over the past 2 weeks, it's gotten a lot more interesting, I think. Quite a few options to pick from. Not sure they all are guaranteed to be premiums, but a lot of players have put their hand up. And yeah, similar to last year, I was thinking, don't know who to pick, and eventually a few players came through, and it looks similar this year. We might get a few players come through. A lot of them with a bit of value as well, that 440 to 470 range. So I'm going to discuss those guys today. Just quickly on Whitfield and Dusty. Do you have to pick them? I don't think so. Should you pick them? Probably. One thing to note on Whitfield, he played half back against Sydney in that trial game they had about a week or two ago. Then he played half back in the Origin game. I mean, people aren't going to read into the Origin game, that's whatever, but just an observation. So see if he plays half back again. Probably won't score as well playing half back, but you never know. Seems to play everywhere, but 2 years ago he played half back and only averaged, was it 100-ish? So just an observation, keep an eye on that, but wouldn't read into that too much. So the first player to discuss is Hugh Greenwood. I wasn't a fan of Hugh when Supercoach opened 2-3 months ago now. So, but I've had to think about it. The two main factors were time on ground and playing for Gold Coast. His time on ground was 82, so that gets a tick. I suppose so many other kids need to spend less time on ground because they're so young, so that makes sense for Hugh's time on ground to go up, just a matter of if he can handle it or not. So I want to see his time on ground in the second Marsh game. And yeah, the fact that he plays for Gold Coast, I'm not sure if Gold Coast will be any good. It's impossible to tell after they played Geelong. Geelong's pretty much B team. So yeah, that was difficult to tell. Hugh's having a full preseason this year. So another thing is the Crows, he averaged 85 last year playing a lot forward for the Crows. And when you think about it, in the second half of the year, that's when the Crows, that's when Hugh played most of his games for the Crows because he was injured in the first half of the year for some parts of it. Crows were losing pretty bad, a lot of games, and Hugh still managed a respectable average of 85 with all that forward time. So I might pick Hugh. I didn't think I would, but I might. But one guy I'm going to pick before him, yeah, I'm undecided on Hugh, but one guy I will pick before him is Christian Petrarca. He's been threatening, so he scored nearly 200 the other day in the practice match against the Crows. Crows didn't look very good, but they were competitive in the first half, where Petrarca was on 100. So James Harms was on the commentary for for Melbourne versus North's trial game, and he said he is moving to half back to accommodate for Christian Petrarca playing midfield. That's good. So it seems like Petrarca is in their midfield plans, and he's probably their second best midfielder at the moment. Brazier might be a little rusty with injuries and stuff, but I'll see how that goes. So yeah, Petrarca, he's been threatening this for a long time. He could explode, he could be 110 average, he could be 90 average, I don't know. But I think I like what I saw. Darren Burgess has come in. We saw the effect he had with Port. I don't know about the long-term effects, but the year he went to Port, everyone seemed to get really fit. And that's what Petrarca has lacked, fitness to play in the midfield. New body shape, all that. Like Petrarca this year, he's my F3 or F4, whoever, depends on who else I pick, but I'm happy with Petrarca. This would be the biggest troll of all time if he busts as a pick, to score this much in the Marsh series, so that would be unbelievable. But I don't believe that'll happen, and I definitely hope it doesn't happen, because I'm probably going to pick him, but see how he goes in the second Marsh game. Then the next player is Darcy Parrish. Scored pretty well in, I think he scored around 110 in 65% game time, maybe 120, something like that. In the Essendon, it seems like they have a lot of players rotate through that midfield. So I think it's maybe like 8 or 9 players. Stringer might get a bit, Snelling might get a few centre bounces, plus all their other mids, Heppel, Merritt, Shield, etc. So reading comments from supporters, they didn't like Parrish's game because his disposal was bad. Maybe it was just a one-off game. I'm not too sure. I'm not sure he's guaranteed to play a lot of time, like full-time midfield. Maybe a little bit he'll have to go half forward just because of the amount of spread Essendon have. I'm not sure. But he scored really well. And he averaged 94 last year when playing midfield, excluding his injury game. Or at least after, I think it was after round 7, he averaged 94. And he did say he wanted to spend more time in the midfield in an interview. So I think there's a good case for Parrish. I'm just a little bit unsure, just because he hasn't done it for a full season before, and because his disposal was bad. I don't know how much you read into one game of bad disposal, but does that mean they'd rather use someone else in the midfield? It's hard to tell. It is really hard to tell. So don't mind Parrish. I think there's a case for him, but get another look at him in the next game. Another player is Jordan Dawson. Scored like 130 today against the Giants. It's impossible to get a read on this when there was no Mills and no Jake Lloyd. We need to see another game from this. But last year, finished the year really well. Trained at halfback in the preseason. We need to watch the next Marsh game for Jordan Dawson. I'll touch on the two Freo players, Akers and Brayshaw. Akers is so injury prone, it's so frustrating. Had him 2 years ago. I can't pick him because of injury risk, but he looks good out there against, albeit a terrible Carlton side with no Cripps. But yeah, don't think I'll pick Akers, too injury prone for mine, but definitely has potential to score. And Andy Brayshaw, definitely bulked up a little bit. Bit of a hard-nosed sort of player. Did like the look of him. My issue with Brayshaw is disposal, which it just hasn't been good in the past. It's been really bad in the past. It's in the 60s, I think, last year. And his time on ground, as a junior, he was an elite endurance runner, but that doesn't seem to translate into time on ground. Just had the 60 in the first Marsh game. I think the second Marsh game will be a better indicator of his time on ground, so that's something to watch. But yeah, maybe for other formats, not sure about Supercoach for Andy Brayshaw. And then yeah, finally, I forgot to touch on Devon Smith. This is a really difficult pick, I think, because at 330k, there's not a lot to lose. He does have the first buy, so you can't really flip him during the buys as a stepping stone. And I think you probably only want to run stepping stones if the rookies are really, really not great. But we don't know that quite yet. So yeah, the fact is that he spent most of the first half off half forward, and then the second half in the midfield. So that tells me that it's gonna, depending on their game, he might spend most of the game forward, he might spend most of the game midfield, maybe a balance. Who knows? Could be a week-to-week thing. So there might be games where everyone's yelling on Twitter, put Devon forward, put Devon in the midfield, Johnny Worsfold. But yeah, for his price, I think it's not too bad. But I'm not. The signs are telling me that he's probably just gonna fall short of being a premium. But you never know. And again, so many guys to rotate through that midfield at the Bombers. So that's the video. A lot of interesting picks that you can make a good case for. For me, I like Petrarca, then Hugh, and then Dawson I can't really tell yet, and then don't mind Parrish, but I think I definitely like Petrarca first. And yeah, definitely a case for Hugh. But yeah, that's the video. Thank you for listening if you did, and yeah, should be good. We'll do a podcast this week and a team update. Should be fun. So we'll see you soon.